Well, blessings, my sacred friends. So Darren's out here helping me. We're checking out the pine pollen. And so we just had Ashley by and she's like, how do you tell the difference? So here you go. You can see that? Oh, look at that dust. Man, you gotta get a smellogram. But as you can see, these cones, if you want to get a little close up there, these are much more open. Do you see how wide they are? Do you see? They're mostly expended, right? So most of this is gone. So if we were to collect this, we get very little return. Whereas right down here, as you can see, this is as it's happening. These are opening up little by little. See how that's less open and less open, right? All the way on the top. Now this is a good cluster for us to collect, and we'll be able to put that in the bag, and we can let that sit for a little bit to open up, making it into the freezer, crack the cell walls, and get it good to go. So we are gonna just harvest. It's literally day by day right now. So we're just gonna get everything that's ready, get our bags out here, and I'm gonna try to get at least 1 or 2 gallons, and we'll turn it into medicine. That'll be good for you.
So it's actually good to do it later in the day, right? Because it's been really foggy in the morning.
Exactly, right.
So you don't want that moisture on there.
Right, exactly. So if you have moisture, it's gonna need to dry out. So you're gonna wanna let it dry out, and then picking it up in the evening, they've had all day to open up, right? So this is when you're gonna get the most concentration of pollen. As you can see, it's just dumping right in the bag there. Like literally, you can just dump it all in there. And then so these ones that are still a bit closed, they're actually okay too, because we can collect those in there, even though they're fully closed. If we give them a couple of days, if we let this sit out for maybe 12 to 24 hours, half a day or so, they'll go ahead and open up, and then we can go ahead and freeze everything. So your pine pollen needs to be kept at 3 degrees Celsius or for up to a year. So basically refrigerator temperature, I think that's right around 38. And then you want to, if it's not going to be in the fridge, or you want to keep it for long-term storage, longer than a year, it needs to be in the freezer. It needs to be frozen. And another advantage of freezing it is it cracks the cell wall. So the pine pollen has a rather large cell wall, and all the good constituents, the magnesium, the phytochemicals, the DHEA, the hormones, the minerals, all the things that our body needs are protected by the cell wall. And our body won't even be able to digest that. So if we were just like eat this, we would get very little out of it. So we need to freeze it to crack that cell wall open, and then we actually need to extract it into a medium. So it needs to be extracted into water is the most common universal extractor, right? Or it needs to be extracted into something like alcohol or glycerin, like plant sugars that are going to go ahead and draw out all of those beneficial constituents and make them available to your body. And then the advantage of doing that with alcohol is that alcohol can cross the bloodstream barrier directly without having to pass through your digestion. So whereas you might lose about 50% of this supplement by taking it in tea or as a digestion, with alcohol it can directly cross over with the beneficial constituents and components and inject directly into your bloodstream. It literally happens as soon as you start to hold it in your mouth under your tongue. The capillaries begin rushing the benefits of this plant into your whole bloodstream. And as you swallow it down your esophagus, it's literally all soaked up before it really even gets to your stomach.
Whoa.
So that's one of the advantages and why I use it as an alcohol extract. Even though most of us are not a huge fan of alcohol, I think that used responsibly and medicinally in the right ways, it still has its use and benefits just like anything else. So it just comes back to, can I relate to this skillfully? Can I use this substance without it using me? Can I use it in a beneficial way without it controlling my life or becoming addicted to it?
I've always felt that alcohol has like a medicinal carrying capacity, and I've wondered if that's part of the kind of hidden thing that we look past with like, you know, beer having different herbs in it, and just like the love of it that forms.
Drinking fermented drinks is as old as time. Animals do it, plants do it. Like Plants love fermented foods. Animals love fermented foods. All species of animals. It's not just humans that drink. It does help manage pain. It does help manage anxiety. The trick is being skillful enough, is being enough to like recognize, hey, is this for me? Can I have a relationship to it? And for some people, the answer is no. So that's okay. Like if you're just like, hey, I just can't handle alcohol. It's not for me. Good for you. Don't handle it. It's not for you. Like you'll know if you can handle it, you'll be able to have a relationship with it where it's not going to destroy your life. It's going to enhance it. And you can tell when it is not enhancing your life, and you can easily go, okay, that's not leading me in the direction I want to go in anymore. Put that down, pick up what's leading me in the direction I want to go in. So you have to be chemically predispositioned to that. You just have to have good genetics. So you could be genetically predispositioned to not be able to do that. So don't feel bad if alcohol is not for you. Right?
Yeah, we got I know some people from the Kava bar
right.
that, were considering getting a farm share.
Yeah.
And when they saw the tinctures, that was just like, they immediately were like, can we do alcohol free? Because they have, Kava is actually one of the best replacements for people that doesn't harm a habit that's destructive. You'll still form a habit. They're still addicted to it, but they don't have these destructive side effects. It doesn't ruin their life.
Similar to the passion flower, which grows around here too. It's a GABA agonist, antagonist, and it helps with all of that as well. And that's something that we're going to be looking into as well. I think we're going to have enough pollen and enough demand this year for me to buy a couple gallons of glycerin. Glycerin is very messy, and the shelf life is extremely short. Alcohol is a 6-year shelf life. Glycerin is 1. So it's a matter of having to have the demand for the product and be able to move it in a timely manner where the medicine is still good.
Do they make that out of beets? Is that related to nitroglycerin,
sugar beets?
Sugar beets, and they used to make bombs out of that.
They just extract it straight up. It's like fuel. It's tasty. It's sugary, and it will literally.
So it is sweet.
It's as strong as alcohol. It will pull stuff out of the. So it will just pull the constituents right out of the pine pollen and make it available to your body. So good stuff. Good stuff.
So I've been actually, I enjoy bourbon, and I've been adding a little pine pollen to my bourbon with the classic aromatic bitters.
Exactly. So that's the way you want to be enjoying. If you're going to enjoy some alcohol, you want to enjoy it with bitters. Bitters are medicinal herbs. You want to enjoy it with pine pollen. You want to enjoy it with something that's going to load you with B vitamins and magnesium and polyphenols and all the things that your body needs, because otherwise the alcohol is going to be real hard on it, Whereas if you're bringing it in with a bunch of vitamins and a bunch of good beneficial compounds, then your body is going to be able to tolerate the alcohol much better. And the alcohol will even help deliver those components, those constituents, more effectively. So it really is a balancing act, right? Because we don't want to become too dependent on it. Like, you literally wouldn't want to do that. I think even 5 days a week is a lot. But you wouldn't want to do that 7 days a week, even if it was good for you, because your body will become dependent on it and it will weaken. So you want to give your body all the stuff that it needs, but you also want to give it a break so that it can be strong on its own and do what it needs to do without having to depend on the plant for what it is that your body can effectively also do for itself. So the idea is to supplement and enhance, not become dependent. It's interdependency, not codependency, right? That's one of the interesting things that we learn about with these plants and the botany of desire, and how cannabis and potatoes and apples have been farming humans since the beginning of time. They formed a symbiotic relationship that allows them to work together. What plant were we talking about? It's literally so involved that we are involved in the breeding process. Corn.
Well, corn, yeah.
Corn, literally. Corn can't shuck itself, can't reproduce and spread its own seed.
Yeah, the wild, the thing that they think was a wild, because they're not really sure. It, you know, kind of, they have some theories, of course, but
Right.
the wild stuff would, you know, release itself, just like the lima beans. You know, like that shell opens up and it curls open and falls out.
Right. Before native indigenous tribes recognize, like, hey, this is a good food, and if we mix this one with this one, it gets even better, you know, and then we can just keep growing these year after year, even though they were moving all around. They were just
Right.
like,
You
hey,
know,
let's
if you're moving around and you come back and it's like, oh, all the corn's falling on the ground.
Right.
That's no good.
Right.
And it just so happened, you know, that the ones that were nice and big and plump, like, hey, these are sweeter. They hold on.